Hey guys, this is Bryce from Thorn Technologies, and today I'll be guiding you through how to stream your logs from your AWS EC2 instance into CloudWatch. The first step for streaming logs to CloudWatch would be making sure that your EC2 instance actually has the permissions to do so, which is usually accomplished via an IAM role. So, if we check out the details of our EC2 instance and navigate to the IAM role, we'll see that we already have the prerequisite permissions to CloudWatch. And this was accomplished using an AWS policy called the CloudWatchAgentServerPolicy. And if we actually take a look at the granular permissions, the permissions we care about most are relating to the logs. So being able to put log events, i.e. being able to have the EC2 instance send the log events to CloudWatch, and then creating log streams and log groups. So we can create an individual log group for our EC2 instance, and then we'll create a log stream for each log file that we'd want to actually send to CloudWatch. So once you have that ready, using the CloudWatch Agent Server Policy or your own custom inline policy, we can begin with the CloudWatch Agent installation and configuration on the instance. Once you've assigned the necessary permissions to CloudWatch on the EC2 instance, the next step we'd want to take is actually installing the CloudWatch Agent package. So, SSH into your instance via the public IP or the private IP, and then once there, we'd want to run a command to elevate our privileges, sudo su, and then we can cd to the /opt directory. Now, there's nothing in this directory currently, but what we're going to see once we install and configure the CloudWatch agent is a new directory called AWS is going to be created, and then underneath that, we're going to see another directory called the Amazon CloudWatch agent. And then underneath this directory is where we're going to be creating a new config file and specifying the logs that we actually want to stream to CloudWatch. So we're going to run a wget command to download the Amazon CloudWatch agent package. And then, as we can see, it's currently on our machine. And to actually install the package, we can run this command afterwards. Now that we've downloaded and installed the CloudWatch agent, the next step would be actually creating the configuration file. So we're going to run an ll command, and then, as I mentioned before, there's a new directory called AWS, and underneath that we have the new directory for the Amazon CloudWatch agent. And then there's a couple different directories here, but the main one we're interested in specifically is the etc directory. So we're going to cd there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new configuration file underneath this directory. So we're going to run the command vi amazon cloudwatch agent.json, and then what this will do is this will create the file and then open it using the vi editor. And then once this file has been opened, what we can do is we can paste in this short little example I have for what the format looks like for the actual config file. So we can see we have the logs collected, the files, and then the actual, collect list, the real files that we actually want to stream to Amazon CloudWatch. So here we can see that we're going to be streaming the varlog syslog file to CloudWatch, and then what it will do is it will create a new log group name called ubuntu-instance with the instance ID, which you can see here, and then it'll create a specific log stream underneath that log group for the syslog, and it'll have the same format of syslog-instance ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the changes to this file using the wq command, and then if we run an ll, we'll see that new config file located here, and then, just for clarity, we can list it again to make sure that the changes we made have been saved. Now that we've created our custom config file, the next step is to actually apply our config and start the CloudWatch agent, which we can accomplish with this command. And And then we could see the file we're specifying, which is what we just created, and then the S flag for start. And then to verify that the agent is actually running, we can run the command service Amazon CloudWatch agent status. And then, as we can currently see, the agent and the service is now running. Finally, what we'd want to do is actually view the logs in CloudWatch to confirm that everything has worked successfully thus far. So, what we can do is we can navigate to the CloudWatch service, go to the log management, which will display the current log groups, and then the thing I like to use the most is just specifying by creation, and then we can see the new log group that got created from our config file, the Ubuntu instance along with the instance ID, and then the syslog log stream, which also got created. And if we take a look in here, we can see some of the actual log events. And that's all for this video. If you found it helpful, please drop us a like and subscribe, as well as checking out our other Thorn Technologies socials. And, as always, have a splendid day.